before getting started with the class on the Zohar, I want to share a few very important things with you when it comes to understanding what we're doing. You know that atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and around them electrons that orbit around the neutron and the proton. Well, the electrons of atoms can behave in two ways. This is very important for the Kabbalah. You know that now we're trying to join quantum physics with Kabbalistic knowledge. So, electrons can behave like waves, or they can behave like particles, which is what creates matter. Once they behave as particles, we can't do anything with them. But as long as they're behaving like waves, we can change their nature, and we can change the world. Now we'll see how. When they are in wave form, there are certain behaviors of the electron that I want to explain. The wave coexists in a number of places at the same time. Waves coexist in a number of places at the same time. Have you ever heard of bilocation, being in two places at once? Yes, that is how waves behave. They can be in several places at once, 2, 3, or 4. The wave extends throughout the universe, but not particles. Particles can only be in one place, and the particle is located there, while waves are present throughout the universe. The wave is the quantum field in which that wave is full of information and full of light. And that wave is interacting with everything, with us, with the earth, the universe, everything, at all times. And while that electron is in the form of a wave, we can modify the content of the information. The quantum field that we were talking about, the divine matrix we were talking about in previous classes, is a space of infinite information and solutions. Now, you must understand that we cannot influence the particle. And if we want to change the world, we must act at the level of the wave before it takes the form of a particle. Particle means matter, and a wave is a wave, like a mental wave. All of those who work with the five senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, they're transforming the wave into particles. And that is linked to an emotion called fear. So, as we work with the five senses, observing the world and being afraid, we are in contact with fixed particles, and we cannot change the world. Miracles cannot be worked there. So, where can we work? At the level of the wave. To do that, we must close down the five senses and turn fear into love. As soon as we begin to meditate and take fear out of ourselves and work with love, and now I will tell you what love is. We dematerialize the particle and get into the wave level. There, at the wave level, there is a lot of information, and we can interact with information and change situations in the world. So, he who knows how to enter the world of waves can change the events of this world. So, what does the Kabbalah mean to do? It means to give you the level of knowledge necessary to impact at the wave level. All of the architects that we work with in the mitzvot generate waves in our minds. Secondly, I'll tell you a story before getting into the subject matter of the Zohar. This story will enable you to understand what we're doing here. There's an island in Japan called Oshima. A Japanese monkey lives there called Macaca fuscata. It's white, very cute, this monkey. Are you familiar with this monkey? Well, they did an experiment with those monkeys. Is anyone aware of this experiment? They gave the monkeys sweet potatoes. You know what that is, right? And they threw it on the ground where there was sand. And those monkeys love sweet potatoes. But when they put it in their mouths, they were irritated by having to eat it with sand. Well, the experimenters kept doing it this way, and the monkeys liked the sweet potatoes, but they didn't like the sand. They kept giving them potatoes on the sandy ground. Now, a female monkey from this group of monkeys, named Imo, found a solution. She must have been something of a Kabbalist, this female monkey. Well, she found a solution, all on her own. She took the sweet potato, she put it in water, the sand came off, and she ate the sweet potato without sand, and she was thrilled to eat that sweet potato without having sand in her mouth. Now the next day, some very small, young monkeys began to do the same thing. Having observed this female monkey, Imo, they put the sweet potato in water and then ate it without sand on it. Now, the older monkeys, the anti-Kabbalists, looked down on the young monkeys. They thought, what are they doing? What is this? Putting potatoes in water. So they were anti-modernists. But the process grew, and more monkeys learned to wash their sweet potatoes in water to be able to eat it without sand. And there came a time when 100 monkeys in that community were doing it. Then, in the end, the older monkeys who at first looked so offended also learned to wash the sweet potatoes and eat them that way. Something had happened. Then the researchers who were studying this monkey behavior went to the next island, a neighboring island, where there was another population of monkeys. And all of those monkeys were already washing their sweet potatoes in water without having seen the first monkeys do it. The researchers visited another island, much further away, and the monkeys there were doing the same thing. And then they visited all the monkey populations of Japan and found they were all washing their sweet potatoes in water. They reached a conclusion that the old consciousness, when a consciousness is innovative and gives a result, the old consciousness. Now, we're in a consciousness of a particle with the 5 senses and in a consciousness governed by fear. In other words, they're still giving us the sweet potato with sand on it. If we, through our meditation, learn how to go from particle to wave consciousness, that is, if we learn how to wash the sweet potato in water, we will renew human consciousness and go from fear to love. The group here will grow. There will come a time when the consciousness makes a leap and spreads to the entire world. At that time, the world will discover what Messianic Kabbalah really is. Have you followed my example? In this case, the case of the monkeys who have a consciousness that's much shorter than that of human beings, they needed 100 monkeys to make the leap. I hope that we, who are not monkeys, can make that leap with a smaller group and not need 100 people to make the leap. I don't know if you've understood what I've tried to explain. All right then, let's begin our Zohar class. Today is May 13th, 2012 in the Yehiel Foundation. We're continuing with the Zohar class. We're continuing in Bereshit, Genesis. Now, the Zohar Ha Kadosh says that God placed man in the Garden of Eden. And Zohar Ha Kadosh tells us that this has to do with the middle column. You know, we have the Chesed column on the right, the Gevorah column on the left, and the column of mercy, which is the center column. So that HaKadosh Baruch Hu placed man in the Garden of Eden, and man is known as the middle column. It tells us that from that man, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created his wife, who should never be separated from him, and that God made her his delight. So, of course, the allegory of a wife for the Creator means that the groom is the Creator, the bride is the soul of man, and when there is a union of the blessing of the Creator in the soul of man, this renders honor to God. This is his pride. This is what glorifies him. At the human level, it's referring to conjugal relations on Saturday, that is Friday night, the Shabbat. And it tells us that when those relations take place, conjugal relations on Friday night, evil spirits will have no power over that person. The person becomes immune because that person is repairing Adam's Berit. And then it tells us that in that Gan Eden, there was a tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "Do not eat the fruit of that tree."
And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai
deciphered the tree of knowledge of good and evil and said that the knowledge of good and evil were the Erev Raf. The Erev Raf, as we have already explained, were intruders who have invaded this world to complicate the lives of human beings. And it tells us that because we mixed with those intruders, these Erev Rav, the 2 temples were destroyed. It also tells us that the 2 tablets of the law were destroyed. What were the 2 tablets of the law? That is the allegory with which to explain the Kabbalah. That is, God wanted to give the Kabbalah to man, but since man was mixed with the intruders, Moshe Rabbeinu, broke the tablets. That means he removed from the people's reach the possibility of studying Kabbalah. The reparation, in the form of the golden calf, is the renewal of studying Kabbalah. So, if we are studying Zohar and returning to study the Kabbalah, it's as if we were receiving from Moshe Rabbeinu the 2 tablets that were given in the beginning. That is why the Torah says, "Do not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because as soon as you eat that fruit, you will die." That means that when you mix with the Erev Rav, you will die. That is, the 2 temples will be destroyed. Then it says, at the time of redemption, when the Mashiach comes, a river will flow from Eden and water the garden. Now, we'll study what this means. The word for river is Nar, and the first letter is Nun. The river will water Eden. The word for paradise is Eden, the first letter of which is Ain, and it will water the garden. The word for garden is Gan, the first letter of which is Gimel. They form the word Onek, which means delight. And here we speak of how God delights. How does God delight? With the students of Torah who study Kabbalah. That is, when we study the Kabbalah, according to the Zohar, we are generating redemption, in which a river flows from Eden and waters the garden. And that prevents the drought. The drought of what? Knowledge and blessings. Because if it is watering, there will be no drought. And it says that this river that will water the garden will be divided into 4 streams or channels. And now we will learn more about those 4 streams. The first stream or branch is called Jesed. It is linked to the south, linked with the angel Michael and the tribe of Yehudah. Let me repeat. The first branch, where it divides into 4, is Chesed, linked with the south, linked with Michael and the tribe of Yehudah. And there it says, he who wishes to acquire knowledge must face southward. That is why, when we sit at the table on Shabbat, it is very important to know where we are sitting, because depending on where you are sitting, you will have knowledge, wisdom, money, or children. And depending on where your bed is, facing north, south, east, or west, you will have one or another type of marital relation and one or another type of result. So this is the old-time feng shui. The second stream is called Gevorah. It has to do with the north, with the angel Gabriel and the tribe of Dan. Any who wishes to be rich must face northward. So, wisdom is facing south. Wealth is facing north. The third branch is called Netzach. The angel associated with it is called Nuriel, and the tribe is that of Reuben. And the person must be facing eastward, and this is for spirituality. The third branch is Netzah. Its direction is east. The angel is Nuriel, and the tribe is that of Reuben. And last, the fourth branch is called Od. Od. It is facing westward. The angel is Raphael. The tribe is Ephraim. And it has to do with peace, with shalom. The Zohar goes even further and says, a river will flow from Eden and split into 4 branches. Now, we can speak of 4 mystical experiences, the 4 branches. One, experienced by Eliseo. Another, experienced by Ben Zoma. Another, experienced by Ben Azai. And the 4th, which is experienced by Rabbi Akiva. Now we will see what sorts of experiences they were. Eliseo did not achieve anything. Ben Zoma went mad. Ben Azai became an atheist. And Rabbi Akiva arrived, entered in peace, and left in peace. What does this mean? That these 4 scholars all searched, and 3 did not arrive, but 1 did arrive to the connection with God. Now, we will see why 3 did not and 1 did arrive. The first is called Eliseo, the mouth that teaches the law. What is the mouth that teaches the law? It is the sense of Peshat, the literal meaning. He didn't achieve anything. The second scholar reached as far as the stream gave Gabriel to drink. That is the level of allusion called remez. And he went no further. He went mad. He didn't understand anything about the allusions and went mad. Ben Azai is the third scholar. He reached a river branch called Didash. That means stories, as the Torah is made up of stories. He did not interpret them correctly and became apikoros, or an atheist. The 4th, Rabbi Akiva, entered into the secrets of the Kabbalah, reached God, entered in peace, and left in peace. And that is where the word pardes comes from. Peshat, remez, didash, sod gives you pardes. If you take away sod, the samech, the last letter of pardes, it gives us prit, mule. That is the horse, dav, procreation. The donkey gives procreation, but the mix of horse and donkey does not give procreation because it is sterile. Mules are sterile. So he who studies Peshat, remez, didash, without the sod is prit, a mule. So Ben Zoma and Ben Azai only touched the kippah of the sod, that is, the outer part of the sod. They did not go into the sod. They did not go into the secrets of the Torah. So, when Moshe Rabbeinu destroyed both tablets of the law, it was because in heaven it was determined that the people were not fit to touch the sod, that is, the secrets of the Torah. And that caused the destruction of the 2 temples. And it tells us that it is because they had rejected the Kabbalah that both temples were destroyed. The third temple is based exclusively on the Kabbalah and will never be destroyed. A question: that third temple, will it be built in the same place where it was? It will be someplace else, because the Earth's axis is changing. There are already 4 degrees of difference, and with what is going to happen now, there will be even more changes. So the umbilical cord will not be there. It will be somewhere else. Do we know where it will be? We don't know what is going to happen with the globe, how many degrees it will move. We could estimate it based on how much it has moved up to now, but it still is going to move more. The Zuman effect? Zuman resonance. Oh yes, that's right, excuse me. Then the tikkun, the repair for the drama of the destruction of the 2 temples and the destruction of the 2 tablets of the law. The repair, which is the study of the Kabbalah. Only he who does the tikkun of studying Kabbalah repairs the drama of the destruction of the 2 temples and the 2 tablets. The first tablets that were to be given to the people of Israel came from the tree of life. But the 2 tablets that were given later came from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, we will look more closely at those 2 tablets we have received. What the Zohar says here is a little overwhelming. Good and evil mean what is allowed and what is forbidden. The tree of good and evil. What is allowed are 248 mitzvot, ta'aseh, you will have to observe them, and what is forbidden are 365 mitzvot lo ta'aseh, what you must not do. Now, we will see that 248 and 365, if you add them up and reduce them, it gives you 5 plus 5. 5 commandments plus 5 commandments. 248 is 2 plus 4 plus 8. That is 14, right? 1 and 4. 4 plus 1. We already have the right hand, ta'aseh. Then we have 365. 3 plus 6 plus 5. 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 5, 14, 1 plus 4, 5. So 365 is reduced to 5 commandments, and 248 is reduced to 5 commandments. That comes from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. What you must and must not do. And that is the origin of the entire Talmud, the entire
Shulchan Aruch.
But if we want to recover the first tablets, there were not 5 plus 5. There was the middle column, the Vav. And what was the middle column, the Vav? Do you know how Vav is written? It is written like this. Vav, Ale, Vav. 6. 6 and 1 is equal to 13, which is equal to the word Ihad, which is equal to the word Ahava, and equal to the word Binah. What does this Vav mean? That we are no longer instilled in fear and doubt. We are installed in love, Ahava. The word Ahava, love, is worth 13. Would you like to see it? What does it mean? That we are no longer in the particle. We're in the wave. That is, the second tablet we've been given are of the particle. And the first tablet, which we have lost, the first tablets of Moshe Rabbeinu had to do with the wave. It is there that we can modify the information, because in the particle we can't modify anything. And that is where the dramas of humanity come from. Ahava is written Aleph, He, Bet, He. 1, 5, 2, and 5. Ahava, love. Ahava, love. 1, 5, 6, 8. That's 5, 13. Echad. Ahava and Binah. Binah is 67, 6 and 7. Vav, Aleph, Vav. The Vav. Vav is the letter that was in the middle of the tablet. It is what connected us to Binah. And so, what are we talking about? The tree of life. The tree of life is connected with the wave. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is connected with the particle. In one, you're a slave, because in the particle, you can't change anything. In the other, you're the master of your destiny, because in the wave, you can change anything. If you're installed in fear, you're in the particle. If you're installed in love, you're in the wave. What we must do is discover what love is, define it, and bring it down. And do like the monkeys. Spread it. It is said that in Egypt, the Egyptians made life bitter for the Israelites with hard labor. Hard labor represented, the key to this is that it represented the difficulty represented by the law of the 248 positive law and 365 negative laws. That is considered hard labor. And it's hard because it does not answer or clarify any of the secrets of the universe or how to influence or interact with the secrets of the universe. And we have had to bear this for 3,600 years. The 365 Lo Ta'aseh laws and the 248 Ta'aseh laws. And now, when the Mashiach arrives, the 365 Lo Ta'aseh and 248 Ta'aseh laws will be over. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil will be over. We will go back to the tree of life, which is the study of the Kabbalah. Is that why they recently did away with some mitzvot? That is why. It says, when Israel does teshuvah, when the people of Israel do their penance, when they repent, God will take a piece of wood and throw it into the water, and the bitter water will become fresh water. Now, let's break this meaning down. What is this wood? It's the angel Metatron. And it is also the rod of the, not of Moshe Rabbeinu, but the Mashiach. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, had a rod. The Mashiach had another rod. The rod of Moshe Rabbeinu was one thing. That of the Mashiach is the angel Metatron. That is his rod. With the aid of the angel Metatron, the miracles of the Mashiach will be worked. What water is this referring to? This bitter water. The law we cannot understand. And what is the fresh water? The law we can understand. Because the Torah is called Mayim. But the Torah can also be called bitter water when you study and don't understand it, as happened to Eliseu, Ben Zomah, and Ben Azai, but can also be transformed to fresh water, as occurred with
Rabbi Akiva.
Then the Zohar refers to rage and compares it to idol worship. It says that rage takes you to the point of idol worship, and that idol worship can even take you to murder. That is a poor quality for bile, and incest is a poor quality of the spleen. And it says that the intruders practiced incest. What does it mean that they practiced incest? It means that they interpose themselves between the first He of the name of God, of Yud He Vav He, and the last He of the name of God, of Yud He Vav He. That is, they interpose themselves between Binah and Malchut. Binah is the source of blessing, and Malchut is this world. If there is any block between the world of blessing and the world that receives the blessing, if there is blockage, the blessing cannot reach earth. Who created that obstruction? The Erev Rav. So, until the Erev Rav are not eliminated from the face of the earth, blessings will not come down to earth. Now I'll stop here, because if not, we will get into too many concepts. Does anyone have any questions before the break? Yes. We've clarified many very serious concepts. Very serious concepts. So you realize those who attack the Kabbalah, attack Kabbalists, libel the Kabbalists, do you know what they're doing? They are siding with the Erev Rav, and on the side of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and they are not allowing the reparation for the destruction of the two temples. But here, there's something very important that you've just said, that the Erev Rav must be eliminated. How can that be done? We must convert them? The Erev Rav are not people. They are forces. So, how can we eliminate the Erev Rav? How did Moshe Rabbeinu eliminate the Egyptians? How? Water? The 10 plagues? He had a tool. A rod? The Mashiach had another tool. With what? With the angel Metatron. And who is Metatron? Metatron is the leader of all the legions of angels. So here to earth, billions and billions of angels will come down, which are energies. They will come down to earth and they will cleanse the earth. And that cleansing will be painful. We know this. It will be painful because the klipa of the world will be broken. What is Sandalphon's role in this? They go together. Sandalphon is who will destroy Lilith. The angel who will destroy Lilith, who is the she-demon who enabled Zera Lavatala, the loss of semen. And Metatron is the angel who will enable the destruction of the Erev Rav, the Amalekites. And he will destroy all doubt from this world. Doubt will come to an end. Doubt comes from fear. The Mashiach will be assisted by the angels Sandalphon and Metatron. Metatron comes from Hanoch, who became Metatron, and Sandalphon comes from
Eliyahu Hanavi,
who transformed into Sandalphon when he left this world. The Erev Rav cannot study the Kabbalah. They are allergic to it. They have this allergy. They are the ones who keep you from studying the Kabbalah. They are the ones who blocked Kabbalah and triggered the destruction of the two temples. So when someone comes criticizing the Kabbalah or Kabbalists, be careful. They might be an Erev Rav. Is that why in Torah it insists so much on having
to eliminate Amalek?
Amalek are the Amalekites who are Erev Rav. Amalek are energies that are brought by the Erev Rav. They are to blame for the destruction of the temples and the 2 tablets, and us being given a Torah based on the tree of knowledge of good and evil, when the first tablets were based on the tree of life. And now we are going to transform, and we're going to do the tikkun, the repair for having eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and go to the tree of life. And the tree of life is nothing more or less than the Kabbalah. The Zohar is called Etz HaChaim, the tree of life. I see you have many questions, Manuel. No, she was first. When you say the first tablets were connected to Etz HaChaim, the tree of life, I must have missed something. When you said this was connected to the Vav, what is that connection about with the Vav? Because in the 2 tablets, there is 5 plus 5, but between the 2 tablets, there was a line, which is the Vav, the connection with Binah. That connection with Binah has been lost. So it's the middle column, the connection between the 2. Because you know, if you take away the neutron from the electron and the proton, you generate nuclear fission. So there are always 3 columns. When you take one away, the others don't work. So if you have the tablet on the right and that of the left, and you don't have the earth connection, the ground in the center, it explodes. It short circuits. Everything is a 3-legged table. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's not Abraham and Isaac. It's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's not yin and yang. It's positive pole, negative pole, and resistance, or earth. It's a law of electricity. What else? At first, you spoke of the example of an electron. Is it all about all electrons all the time in a single body? Because there are so many atoms, so many electrons in each atom. They are waves, light waves, but they can be transformed into particles as soon as... Yes, but it's not just one atom. There are billions and billions of atoms in a single person. When you meditate, all your electrons are modified. When you observe with open eyes, all your electrons are modified. They're either modified in the form of waves or in the form of particles. So you see how the Kabbalah is beginning to join quantum physics. It's amazing. Quantum physics is beautiful. It's nothing more than Kabbalah explained in scientific terms. I had a question about the third stream, Ben Azai. I had read that he went mad, and something about Ben Elisha, but I'm not sure. No, it wasn't Ben Elisha.
Elisha ben Abuya.
But he was not one of the 4. That's not the story of the 4. And he didn't go mad. He converted to Islam. Yes, he was a false Messiah. We're not talking about the same thing. We're talking about those who study Peshat, Remez, Dirash, and until you study Sod, you cannot connect. I can tell you that I've spoken, not to rabbis, because rabbis don't study Kabbalah. Very few of them do. I've spoken with, in French, it's called les doyens. That is the deans, the authorities of the rabbinic schools. I've spoken with them, these deans, and I've asked, why don't you teach Kabbalah to the rabbis, who are later responsible for the whole community of a city? Because I hold you responsible for that. Because you don't study Kabbalah, this world is not working, and those who are responsible for learning and teaching it are the rabbis, who are the spiritual leaders of all communities. They said, we have no choice. I said, what does that mean? I don't understand. They said, look, just to study the laws of the Talmud and study how Brit Milah is done, a circumcision, and study how a wedding is celebrated, to study Shechita is performed, studying the ABCs of what a rabbi has to know in a community, it takes 3 years. As of the time they've studied all of this, about 2,000 pages of Talmud, more or less, of the 15,000 that could exist, as of the time they've studied that, that would be the time to begin teaching them the Kabbalah. But since the yeshivot are dying of hunger because they have very little money, and they live off charity, they have very little money, they, who are studying in the yeshivot, in the rabbinic schools, they want to get married, they want to have children, they want to have a job, and they are offered jobs as rabbis. And that means that the 3rd year, the time they should begin studying the Kabbalah, they leave. They begin to earn a salary, and they've forgotten all about the Kabbalah. It's not that the yeshivan don't teach them Kabbalah. It's that they leave the yeshiva right when they have the minimal diploma to exercise, to make a living, and have a bit more comfortable life than what they have in the yeshivot, which is not a very comfortable life. So, checkmate. So, we've spoken about how the world of matter is the world of the 5 senses. It's the world of the particle, the world of the observer. The world of the wave, we've said, is the world of meditation. And in the wave, we can change the information. So, in the world of the particle, fear rules. And in the world of the wave, love rules. Now, the question is, what is love? Because you might believe that love is being in love and kissing one another. You may think that. Love is an energy of union until reaching one. Attraction? Attraction. It's a wave, a vibration, a very rapid vibration. It's an effect. It's an outcome. Michaela said it. Attraction. There are 2 laws in this world, the law of attraction and the law of repulsion, just like a magnet. 2 magnets can attract each other, but if you turn them around, they'll repel each other. So it's a law of attraction and a law of repulsion. The law of repulsion is called fear at the emotional level, and the law of attraction is called love at the emotional level. Notice how in the Shema it says, Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha, and you will love your God
בכל לבביך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך.
with all your strength, all your heart, and with all your resources. Okay. So realize this. It's an instruction. It's an order. You have to generate a law of attraction between your creator and yourself. It's an order. And now the question comes, how is attraction generated? Do you know how attraction is generated? By telling him you love him? No. At the physical level, do you know how attraction is generated? By rubbing. If you rub 2 pieces of iron together, they become magnets. And how can you rub against HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
Midot.
Midot is an outcome. By rubbing against him at the mental level. How can you rub against him? In deep study. In deep study, his mind with your mind against his mind. Contact breeds affection. Do you know the saying in Spanish? I don't know if there's something similar in French. But 2 minds rub against each other until an attraction is born. And, on another note, it says, Tabud Torah Keneged Kulam. That is, studying Torah comes before all else. On one hand, you have to generate attraction through study. Study generates a mental rubbing until your soul warms and the soul of Akadosh Baruch Hu warms and attraction is generated. Now then, we have two orders of love. Ahavat Hashem, Ahavat Israel. What does this mean in Hebrew? The love of God and the love of your people, the people of Israel. But Israel is not Israel. Israel is Rosh Li. If you permute the letters of Israel, it gives you Rosh Li, my head, my mind. That is, one must develop their mind. And we are a people of books, study, people who develop their minds. As of when was Jacob called Israel? When he overcame the angel, when he rose to a level of spirituality in which he could overcome an angel, when he reached a mental level. Jacob comes from Ekev, heel, and Israel comes from Rosh, head. He went from heel to head, from Ekev to Rosh, from Jacob to Israel. What? Akev, which was heel to head. Be careful. Contact breeds affection. We have to be in contact, mental contact. Don't you realize that when we meditate on a name of God, we go from head to heart, heart to liver, liver to heart, heart to brain. We begin to rub. Attraction is generated. The magnetic effect is based on rubbing, like clothing too. With clothing, like when your trousers leg rubs against a stocking, there comes a moment when the leg gets stuck to the sock because of the rubbing. So think about what we already know and the lack of affection. Which is the opposite. What? You no longer rub at all? Rejection. Oblivion. How? Why? Where does the rejection come from? From fear? Your partner changes. How? Electrons change direction. How do you change polarity? How do you go from attraction to repulsion? By turning? Repulsion? Rubbing against the other side? Rubbing against someone else? You go from wave to particle. And you materialize, and that takes you away from the spiritual world. With magnets, you just turn it around, and that's it. If we observe nature, it's just by turning it. Don't you think that both poles are necessary for the world to exist? Could a light bulb work with a single pole? Could the earth work with a single pole? No. Both poles are necessary. There must be love. There must be fear. And what's in the middle? Resistance. What? Resistance. Resistance is in the light bulb world, but in the day-to-day world, we're not walking light bulbs. What is there? Between love and fear, in between them is consciousness. That is consciousness. It doesn't belong to love or fear. It belongs to what is in between. And consciousness does not belong to man. It does not belong to man with love or man with fear. It's what makes us go from love to fear or from fear to love. That is consciousness. When we go from love to fear, we materialize. And when we go from fear to love, we create a wave. We dematerialize. There is a consciousness of coming and a consciousness of going. There is a good consciousness and a bad consciousness. Consciousness is the space between fear and love, or between love and fear. A consciousness that comes and a consciousness that goes. So, from love to fear, it depends on the use of the five senses. And from fear to love, that depends on the use of meditation. So, blocking out the senses, the anesthesia of the senses to use superior senses. So here we reach the conclusion that the Messianic period will be one in which we all meditate many hours a day. How wonderful. And then we will dematerialize ourselves. And what happens when you dematerialize yourself? You're free. Free from what? From men, from fear, from everything. Fear and everything. You travel light in terms of matter. Could you use telepathy? Yes. Could you use bilocation? Be in two places at once? Yes. Teletransportation? Healing? Could you fly? Yes. Could you walk through walls? That is, you dematerialize. What is the problem with this world? It's excessively materialized. We're prisoners. Too much left brain reasoning and very little use of the right brain. You meditate with the right brain. That is where the wave is. And you reason with the left brain. That's where the particle is. So, too much binah and not enough chokmah? That's right. And that means chaos. Because it becomes deeply entrenched, like a cyst. The world becomes entrenched. It's like a very hard tumor. What we have to do is undo it. We have to go into the wave. Yes. So the connection between one thing and the other is dat. Like chokmah and binah, the connection is dat, which you call consciousness. Yes, it's dat. And is that why? Dat is consciousness. Now, we can create fear consciousness or love consciousness. What do you think we're going to meditate on today? Oh, the consciousness of love. I hope so. There's already enough fear. So let's see how the consciousness of love can be created. The word for love is ahava, and that has a name of God, which is Aleph He Vav He. It's like a Ye, but instead of a Yud, it's a Vav. We will weave ahava together with Aleph He Vav He, that is, the name of love with the name of consciousness, and we will bring the consciousness of love. Do you understand? Yes. So this works as follows. And we will also bring down the consciousness of Keter, that is, the highest world. We can't bring down the highest world because it has been blocked by the Erev Rav, so we will bring this consciousness down by unblocking it with love. So the name of God that comes out of here, Echiyud, a woven name, is like this. Aleph 3 times. He 3 times. Yud Haf Bet. And He 3 times. Now, I will tell you what this is. The first Aleph, the first He, the first Yud, and the first He gives us Echeye. which is the name of Keter. The second gives you the name of Da'at, consciousness, Aleph, He, Vav, He. And the third is the name of love, Ahava, Aleph, He, Bet, He. So we have Eye, Aleph, He, Vav, He, and Yahava, woven together. We bring down the energy and consciousness of love to this earth. Do you understand? No? If anyone hasn't understood, I'll explain it again. Yes, please. The consciousness of God and the consciousness of love. So we will bring down the name of God. Aleph, He, Yud, He, Ehye. Then we will bring down the name of consciousness. Aleph, He, Vav, He. Aleph, He, Vav, He. Then we'll bring down the name of love. Ahava. Aleph, He, Bet, He. It's already woven. I'm giving it to you woven. Do you understand now? So then, this consciousness, first we'll bring it down to the world, and then we'll spread it. We'll impregnate the whole earth with it. Then what will happen? The world will dematerialize. We will go from the particle to the wave. We will dissolve the cyst. It's like a cancer that is a very tough cyst. We're going to dissolve it. Now then, let's begin the meditation. First, we'll unite our hearts with the golden thread, because we're going to use our electromagnetic energy. And then we'll bring down that name and form a chorus and put the earth in the middle and impregnate the world with the energy of attraction, because now there's a lot of energy of repulsion. The energy of repulsion is decompensated with the energy of attraction. Now we'll recompensate it. Not recompensate it, compensate it. So now we'll take 3 deep breaths. We inhale positive energy. We hold our breath a bit and we exhale all the stress, all worries. We relax our bodies. We inhale again. Hold our breath and we exhale. We inhale and we exhale. We feel the presence of Metatron and Sandalphon, who are with us, directing this meditation. Now we see a golden thread, like a golden sunbeam, that will link all our hearts and will turn in a counterclockwise motion. It turns very quickly. There's strong rubbing that joins our hearts like stringing pearls on a necklace. The light revolves quickly, powerfully, with the power of a golden light, like a sunbeam. Now we envision ourselves in the Star of David, a Magen David, the size of this room. We are all in a single Magen David, just one that is very large, because we're a single being and our hearts are all joined. In another Star of David, the letter Aleph appears in white. We illuminate it. And another letter, Aleph. We illuminate it. And another letter, Aleph. We illuminate it. Now, the letter He appears. We illuminate it. Again, the letter He. We illuminate it. And the letter He again. We illuminate it. Now, we call the letter Yud. We illuminate it. We call the letter Vav. We illuminate it. We call the letter Bet. And we illuminate it. Now, we call the letter He. We illuminate it. The letter He again. We illuminate it. And the letter He once again. We illuminate it. Now, all of this power of Ehyeh, Aleph He, Vav He, and Yahavah, all the flames join together into a single woven flame that burns out of the upper tip of the Star of David. It will enter our Star of David. It will enter our skulls, each of our skulls. The light is divided among all of us, each with their own ray of light. It enters the brain, illuminates the brain, goes down to the heart, illuminates the heart, goes down to the liver, illuminates the liver, goes up to the heart, illuminates the heart, goes up to the brain, illuminates the brain, goes down to the heart, goes up to the brain, heart, 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 brain. We expel it through the fontanelle of our skulls, and we generate a great power of white light. We have the globe in the middle of our Magen David, around which we form a chorus, and we will project these flakes of light that snow down on the earth as if it were snowing flakes of white light of the consciousness of love. And we see how humanity is dematerialized and a balance is generated toward the wave. And more values will be given to love, helping your fellow man, generosity, mercy, forgiveness. Fear disappears, as does hate, rage, envy, jealousy. All of that disappears. They are completely dissolved. Now we see the angel Metatron and the angel Sandalphon come down to earth to balance the electromagnetic energies of the earth and human beings. Increasing the wave, diminishing the particle, and generating a closeness with the Creator who will come down to earth to rule here. You may speak freely with Metatron and Sandalphon and the human beings of the earth. And you may speak with the earth with her energy. And you may speak with the universe with his energy. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Again and again. Now let's open our eyes. What did you see? I told you that the wave didn't limit you in time or space. Well, I went to when the Torah was given over. And I was not alone. I went with you. When Moshe Rabbeinu brought down the first tablets, I didn't let them create the golden calf. In other words, we acted as bodyguards. We placed the souls of the Jews in the middle, and we, with the golden thread, formed something like a wall, so the intruders couldn't come in to make the golden calf. So the first tablets were never broken. So all the tragedies that have taken place since the golden calf have never existed. It's like going into the past, changing something from the past. And we now have the first tablets, which was the Kabbalah, and the tikkun of the world is complete. What happened is amazing. Like a new beginning. Yes, like a new beginning. And everything that happened after that never happened because the first tablets were never broken. It was amazing. But we acted like bodyguards of the people of Israel. And with this golden thread around them, the people of Israel were in the middle, and the intruders who wanted to get in couldn't, because that golden thread kept them out. It was poisonous to them. They couldn't touch it. They stayed outside. No matter how much they wanted to, they couldn't get in. So they never made the golden calf, and the first tablets were never destroyed. We didn't have the tablets of the knowledge of good and evil. We only had the tablets of the tree of life. It was very beautiful and interesting. And were Metatron and Sandalphon there? Did they say anything? They were there. They were observing this historic change. Very curious, isn't it? Well then, we'll close here today.